here on a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and consent and agreement of the parties. We are also live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record this morning. Okay, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Yolanda Novak is my permanency specialist. We're present and ready.
Brooks Barfield for Alexis Jasso. We are present and ready.
Stacy fell out. We're waiting for her to get, I'm bringing her back in running. Ms. Zavala, do you want to announce?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry. Stacy Zavala for the kids.
All right, then what do we have new from St. Francis Department?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Since placement, St. Francis has had some significant concerns. Sometimes it has been difficult to make contact with Alexis by phone for visits and for sending her to drug screen. In November, right after Thanksgiving, I tried to send her to drug screen. I contacted her by calling and texting with no response. The next following week, when I met with her, she told me that she had left her phone in her boss's vehicle and didn't have it. She did go drug screen at the end of November for me. Excuse me. And in December, when I sent her, I tried to send her on a day to drug screen in December, again, by calling and texting her to let her know to go, with no response. And then I went to see her that same evening, and she said that she had left her phone at home and she had to go, she was in at work early that day. When I saw her the following week, when I saw her the following week in December, I arrived and it appeared that the kids were home alone. When I could hear music in the side, I knocked on the door. They didn't answer the door. So I tried calling Alexis and she did not respond to my call. So I waited and I called my supervisor on what to do because I could hear that the kids were inside. She advised me to wait, and we called the police to do a welfare check just to see if they would answer the door for the police, and they did not. I continued to wait until Alexis arrived. Arrived at the apartment. I arrived at 5:30 p.m. She arrived right around 6:30 p.m. So I had been waiting an hour. When she arrived with a gentleman, and she said that they had stepped out to get groceries. The kids were fine. They were being supervised by a 14-year-old that is not on her approved person list for someone to watch the children. I tried to send her for a drug screen this last Saturday by calling and texting. She said that her phone had died and that she went to go, but she was late and they wouldn't let her do it. But as for the kids, they seem to be healthy and well and doing okay, ma'am.
All right.
And we did.
Go ahead.
So after the visit we did update the family reunification plan, stating that the gentleman that she was with could not be around the children because he did give me his name and date of birth, and we did do a background check, and he had significant CPS history and criminal. So we updated that and Ms. Hassos signed it, stating that he would not be around the children.
And what about the 14-year-old that was watching the children? What have we addressed? Who and who cannot take care of the kids?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. In the family reunification plan, the original one she signed, it does say an adult must be watching the children. I've spoken with Alexis about who her approved adults are, and it's her mom, and she has a babysitter. Her name is Leah, that are on her list. And I also talked about if she needs to add people to that list, that she needs to notify us, and it's in the plan of 4 days, so I can run their background checks to make sure that they are approved to be with the children.
All right. On the drug screens that we've gotten, any concerns?
So she had an alcohol UA in December and it was negative, and her regular UA in November was negative.
And Judge, while we were talking about the screening, since she did try to send her this past weekend, we would ask that we can get the hair follicle and the UA with the ethanol ordered again today, since she missed the last ones.
Okay, so today you're wanting hair and you're wanting alcohol
Yes,
testing?
ma'am. Since we're going ahead and sending her for the hair, if we could send her for the UA with the alcohol testing also, and go ahead and get that done.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Barfield?
I just want to ask my client, I don't have any questions of the worker. I think with the updated family reunification plan, that indicates the most recent activity, save for the drug test that was just requested by the department. So I'll just pass the witness.
Okay, and does anybody else have any questions for Ms. Novak?
On just a handful. The 14-year-old, when you ran her background, she did have some concerning things that popped up. Is that correct?
Yes, she had recently, at the beginning of this December, or with the new year, sorry, last December of 2023, she had recently been picked up.
And then how many drug tests did mom miss?
She hasn't missed any for me. I started this case at the beginning of November. I would have to go back and look at the.
I guess I'm a little confused. Didn't you just testify that you asked her multiple times to show the drug test?
Yes, I have to. She missed a November and the January one for me. Sorry, but after making contact with her, I resent her. So she missed it, but then she made it up for me.
Okay, so when was the one that she got there so late that they couldn't do it?
That was this last Saturday, ma'am.
So I'm a bit confused. It sounded like the testimony was 3 separate times you asked her to go and she did not go. On all 3 of those times, she then later went?
Yes. When I tried to send her after Thanksgiving, over like the weekend, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I don't know the date. And she didn't respond. So I don't know if she received the message or not. So I keep trying until I make contact with her to make sure that she got the message to go drug screen. She did not respond to me at all. The next week, when I talked to her about it, that's when she told me she left her phone in her boss's car. So I resent her the following week. So she missed the weekend of Thanksgiving. So I resent her, I think it was November 30th, and she did go on November 30th for me. And then December, I believe it was December 15th, I tried to contact her early that morning to go, and no response from her. And then when I saw her the night of the 15th, that's when she told me that she had left her phone at home while she was at work. And then I resent her December 22nd, and she did contact me and she needed a ride. So I personally took her to that drug screen for December.
So all of these drug screens were UA, which would you agree are time sensitive?
Yes, ma'am. They're random UAs.
Okay. And so if you request somebody to go to a random UA and they don't show up and you request again in a few days, would you agree that's not really random?
Yes.
I pass the witness.
A couple of things. Ms. Nowak,
Yeah.
but you have not, since we're requesting one today, she has not made up the one from this past weekend, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And which is why we're asking for them today.
That is correct.
Okay. You said mom did sign the updated reunification plan.
Yes, she did. And I went over it with her.
Okay. Has she given you any new names of people she wants approved on the supervised list? I know we have, I believe it's the maternal grandmother and the friend. Has she given you any other names of people to try to help?
She's mentioned her grandmother, but she has not given me. She said she wanted to talk to her grandmother to see if she would be willing to watch the kids for her, and she'd get back to me. And I have not. She hasn't given me new information on the grandmother to run yet.
Okay. And so, as far as the supervision, do you believe that mother now understands who can and cannot supervise the children when she's not around?
Yes, I do.
I'll pass witness, Young.
Nova, do you think she understood that when she signed the first reunification plan?
It appeared that she didn't. When I went over the updated version with her, she remembers talking about the reunification plan, but not knowing specifically what was on it. So when I met with her to give her the updated one, I did give her a copy of the original that she went over with the previous. Oh no, I'm sorry. It would be my supervisor. The previous worker didn't do it. It was my supervisor. And I gave her a copy of that one and the one that I went over with her. And I went over each thing on the supervision and specifically of who can watch the children, that it needs to be a person that we approve, and that she needs to give us 4 days notice if she needs to add someone, and it needs to be an adult, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Mr. Barfield.
No questions of this witness, Judge.
Okay. Anything for your client?
Well, I want to ask my client some questions. I want to ask my client some questions.
Okay.
May I proceed?
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Jasso, you've heard the testimony of Ms. Novak, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, do you understand that right now, even though the kids have been returned, you signed a document on December 29th at 2023. Do you recall that document?
Yes, sir.
That family reunification plan document is the document I'm referring to.
Yes, sir.
Did you go over that document, read that document, and understand that document?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, you signed a document December 29th, 2023. Okay. And in that document, you agreed not to allow a Damian Carrillo access.
Oh, yes.
Okay. That's the document I'm referring
Yes.
to.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. I do.
Okay. And you also agreed not to let any other I'm going to simplify it. You can't let any unapproved person stay alone with your children, and you cannot let minors stay with your children. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. I do.
Okay. Do you understand that you are still subject to random drug or alcohol test requirements pursuant to this family reunification plan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you understand that if the court saw fit, if you continue and I don't know what the court's going to do today, but if you continue to be late to screenings, drug screenings, alcohol screenings, this could result in the immediate removal of the children from your care. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do you understand the importance of, one, trying to make sure your phone's charged and with you, and when the department worker or St. Francis worker tries to get a hold of you, you need to respond immediately. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can we, when I say we, can you improve on these communication issues with Ms. Novak so we do not have to have, or the judge does not have to have concerns with alcohol use?
Yes, sir.
And okay. Okay. Because before you leave here today, if you have any questions, I want you to ask them so that everything is crystal clear. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, do you understand the court is probably going to ask you to drug screen today?
Yes.
Will you go drug screen today?
Yes. Yes, sir.
You understand that a late or a missed appointment will be considered a positive result, whether it's positive or not. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you understand how serious the information that we're getting here today and concerning it could be to the court?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. And now, as you sit here today, is that screen going to be clean?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Anybody else have any questions for Ms. Tasso?
I do, Your Honor. Alexis, have you received a call from Kelly Deaton, my assistant?
Yes, I spoke to her yesterday.
Okay. And so we were calling to offer visit times for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, correct? But we're now set up for tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. So I have not been able to see the kids in your home. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're set tomorrow at 4:30?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I pass the witness.
Ms. Hasso,
Go ahead.
yes, ma'am. You understand that as far as the drug screening and the contact with Ms. Novak, that Ms. Zavala also needs to see her clients, which are the children. You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
And so not calling their office back can also be an issue, as she needs to see her clients.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you receive these messages and these calls and just don't contact back and just ignore them?
Well, no, I get a lot of calls, like just from when I applied, I get a whole bunch of just random calls. So I didn't know it was them until I checked my voicemails.
Okay. So you don't have their number saved in your phone?
No, just Yolanda Novak's number.
Okay. So when she calls you for these drug screens and stops by on these visits, you don't see these calls till later and don't call her back?
Well, like I said, my phone was left in my boss's car and my phone was dead, but I do get a hold of her as soon as I see her message.
Okay. We're going to do better about keeping our phone charged and with you so that you know when you have to go do these things?
Yes, sir.
Now is this the second time we've had to redo a reunification plan with you? Did we not have to redo it in the beginning due to you not showing up to picking up the kids when we started the step ups?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
So we're kind of in our third reunification plan with you, our first and then two amendments. Do you understand everything on these reunification plans now?
Yes, sir, I do.
Have you read through them and made sure that you understand everything on them?
Yes, me and Yolanda went through them.
Okay. So we're not going to have any more hiccups on this?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Hasso, I'm going to just follow up with what some of these attorneys have asked you, because I'm going to take a little different approach with this. I mean, I'm going to tell you that these things are very concerning to me. And the reason it's concerning to me is beyond the obvious reasons, is that this whole process is about trying to help you learn to make better decisions for you and your children. And the fact that you are still hanging around people that've got criminal histories, the fact that you allowed a 14-year-old that maybe had some kind of juvenile, I don't know, we didn't get into that, but it kind of sounds like there was a problem there. You know, and those are the people you're bringing around your kids. My worry is that you have learned nothing. Okay, so I'm shooting straight with you. Not showing up for drug tests on time. I mean, you're getting a lot of extra chances that a lot of folks I'm not sure get. Why? I can't answer that question. But you know, you better not miss any more drug tests, alcohol tests. You better be there when you're supposed to be there. You better answer your phone. Program these people's numbers in so you know who's calling. I mean, these are all what responsible people do. Okay?
Yes, Judge.
If there's somebody you know that you need to take a phone call from, I mean, every cell phone out there has that ability now. You know, take 30 seconds and put Ms. Zavala's office number in. You know, I mean, it's simple stuff. And I am very concerned we are this far along and we're still having to go back and redo the rules and reinforce the rules and go over this again and again. I don't believe for 1 minute that you didn't understand the last 2 reunification plans. Hey, I'm sorry. Nobody's going to convince me of that. You're just ignoring it and you're choosing to continue to make poor decisions. So you've got a very short window of time between now and March 5th, and that's when your final hearing is set. You've got a really short amount of time here to show me that I have learned from these things. I've learned from these classes. I've learned from what these folks have tried to help me with. I've learned from what they're trying to teach me, and I'm going to make better choices for my children so that they don't get jerked out of your household again. They're 4 and 5 years old. They cannot make protective decisions for themselves. Someone has to do that for them, and that person is supposed to be you. And if you can't do it, then the state will. Because I'm not going to let a 4 and 5 year old, run the streets. I'm not going to let them take care of themselves. And neither do I really want them around people that have criminal problems. So, people that are in constant criminal trouble, the bottom line is they're inherently unreliable people. They're wild cards. And you never know what they're going to do. And that's not who you want around your 4 and your 5 year old. So you've got till March 5th to demonstrate to me that you are going to make the right choices for your kids. Do you know how hard it is for kids that age to be, any kid, any age, but for little children like this to be taken out of their home and for it to happen again once they've gotten back home? You know how excited they probably were to be back home and be back with mommy. And you're putting me in a position where I may have to take them away again. And I don't want to do it. So pick your friends wisely. Pick who you leave around your children wisely. Get rid of some of these people who, quite frankly, are going to drag you down. And I'm telling you this, and I know it's hard, but I'm telling you because you got one last shot at this thing. And that's between now and March 5th. So I'm going to leave the kids at home with you right now, but understand, I don't think we have any misunderstanding today, do we?
No, Judge.
Okay. All right, I am going to order you to go here in UA today before 4 o'clock as requested, and that will include alcohol testing. And I will continue the department as temporary manager and conservator, continue placement with you. And I will see you back March 5th for the final in this case. I'm going to just tell you that failure to miss another drug screen or alcohol screen is going to give the department the right to ask for an emergency hearing on whether or not the children need to be removed from the home. Because it seems to me you're playing games with that. Not saying I'll grant it. I'm just saying they can request it. Okay.
Judge, one last thing real quick. As far as dad, and I know Mr. Morales is not here, there was a paternity test done where he was found to be the dad of both. I can't remember if we brought it up in the last hearing. It's not in the docket entry that we adjudicated. I just wanted to make the court aware, if we didn't bring it up last time, that Elijah Castilla was found to be the father of both the children.
Okay. Well, let's take it up at the final since he isn't here today. And
Yes, ma'am.
was it of both children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I'll see everybody back in March. Hopefully we will not see each other before then.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right,
We
thanks.
are
We're here for a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Tasia McIntyre is my privacy specialist. We're present ready.
Brooks Barfield appearing for Brittany Chenault. I'm present and ready. I do not anticipate her being present for this hearing based on information. I am filling in for Mr. Joel Jackson.
Natalie Archer for the father, Logan Cooper, and I do not anticipate him being present because I've been unable to contact him.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Hadley.
All right, and neither parent is present. I don't have anybody else in my waiting room other than Ms. Brown. Okay, then, Ms. McIntyre, what do we have new?
Nothing new since the court report was filed, Your Honor. No contact with either parent. I sent them the link for court this morning. Hadley's doing amazing, growing, starting to talk, eating table food. I get the cutest pictures from foster family. She's just doing amazing.
Okay.
Judge, we would, I know there's been no contact, but we would ask for the court to go ahead and order the drug screens, the hair and UA, get those on the books as ordered. We'd also ask due to non-compliance and not being able to get in touch with either one of the parents at this time, if we could go ahead and set for an early final on this case.
Okay. Saw that in the report, so.
And order that visits still are suspended until we get clean UAs if they pop back up.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Mr. Barfield, anything to offer?
Your Honor, in regards to this, it's my understanding that Miss Chenault has not really complied with anything involved in this case up to this point. So I don't have anything overly thrilling to say today, other than I will advise Mr. Jackson's office that the parents, if they show up, are to pass a drug screen and can start working services. So no, Your Honor, nothing further.
Okay, Ms. Archer.
I have been trying to reach my client since December. I've also spoke to his mother once. I've also left her messages to call me back, just so I can try to reach him to see if he wants to relinquish or what his plan is. I talked to Tasia yesterday about the case, and so if I can reach him, I will let the parties know.
All right, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, Hadley is precious and beautiful and is thriving in the home she's been in since she was first placed. And I agree with all recommendations from the department in terms of no contact until drug screening if parents do appear.
All right, just and as a question, since we're kind of where we're at in this case, is foster parents possible long-term placement?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I do want to mention the last contact with Brittany was November 7th through text messages. I showed up at her door, knocked on it. She answered and told me she didn't have time to meet with me, and she would text me later when she could meet with me. That was the last contact, was letting me know when I could come back. And then Logan, have not spoke with him since seeing him in Potter County before he went to ISF. So I do want that to be on record about the last contact.
Is he out of ISF now?
Yes, he's been out since our hearing in September, I believe it was.
That's what I thought. So we've
Yes.
had no contact since he left that facility.
Correct.
And Judge, I did reach out to Todd Henderson, the prior attorney, just to make sure I had current phone numbers and so forth. So I don't know what else to do.
All right, thank y'all.
And Judge, I think I said something about an early final, but I think we're already set for a final in March. So I think that was our next date anyway. So.
Okay, then I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue placement. Find that there would be a continuing and ongoing danger to return the child home to either parent at this time. the department has used reasonable efforts to reunify the family. I will order the parents' drug tests upon making contact with them. And visitation will remain suspended indefinitely. Even if we get them into drug test at this point, I would want to see some additional commitment to services before we would even start visitation. So it's just suspended indefinitely at this point.
Yes, ma'am.
I will see everybody back for our final on this case, March 19th of 2024. And that's on a 9:00 docket.
Your Honor, I have a question. Would you like for me to send them to the drug screens today or just wait till they reach out to me? How would you like that done?
I think there's, until we actually make contact with them.
Okay.
I mean, we know, if we can't contact them, we know they're not going to show. So I'm just ordering that they will drug test on request and making actual contact with them.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. In this case, we are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
You're muted, Daniel.
Sorry, I was doing two things at once. Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We are present, ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Grant on behalf of the mother, and Your Honor, I've been getting dumped off periodically, so I'll be right back if I lose you again. And my client is not present, Your Honor, but I believe we're here on an agreement with a few announcements.
Vince Nowak on behalf of the father, Israel Renya. I am present. I have had zero meaningful contact other than my very first phone call with him almost a year ago. But I'm here and I'm ready, Judge. Thank you.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Xerxes, here and ready.
All right, Ms. Martinez is just logged in. And we lost Ms. Grant. Okay, Ms. Grant, your client is now logged in. She's joined us.
Thank you, Judge. Could I have about 30 seconds with her, Your Honor? In a
Sure.
breakout room? Thank you.
Judge, we'd have an announcement. We
All
have.
right, we lost Ms. Grant again. Hang on.
Your Honor, parties have agreed to go into a monitored return on this case. There's still some issues that Mom was kind of struggling with and that need some help, and there's a few concerns that we have. So we'd like to take up a few of those things and discuss those today. But as far as the proceeding of the case, we would agree to a monitored return in order to work through some of these issues while the child's in the home.
All right, Ms. Grant, is that your agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
And Mr. Nowak?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then let's take up some things because I've got some concerns based on my review of the court report. This is a little bit like our first hearing this morning. I'm very concerned with that we're not making forward progress. So I'll let you all update me on maybe what progress we have made and then what we're going to do about some of our problems.
Yes, ma'am. And I would, if you want to swear in or if we just want to discuss it, Ms. Prater will be my witness or primacy specialist today, Your Honor. Ms. Prater, before we get into the issues with Mom, just one quick question. I'm sure Mr. Nowak may ask you this, but as far as Dad, where is he now?
According to a search that we ran on him in December, he's living in Abilene, Texas.
Okay. And do you know when that transition happened?
I do not know.
Okay. Is that the first time that search has ever come back to an Abilene address?
Yes.
Okay. And does that search that you run, does it say, as of so-and-so in Abilene, or does it just give the address?
It says as of November 2023.
Okay. All right. So just here recently, he's moved, but did not notify you.
Yes.
Okay. Have you had any contact with him?
I have not.
Okay. All right. Now, as far as with mom, we have some concerns. They were in the report. Couple of our main concerns right now, mom does not have child support set up. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I believe you told me yesterday the CCMS has been waitlisted. Is that correct?
Yes, Adrian has applied for CCMS to get help with funding for childcare. I spoke to the CCMS representative. She has been waitlisted, and we've been looking into priority funding for her.
Okay. And priority funding, is that through the department, through St. Francis? Tell me what that is.
That is through CCMS. We found that she met a couple of criteria, being in transition with reunification right now.
Okay. So we're hoping that will push it through.
Yes.
Is there any other, in the meantime, while we're waiting, let me back up. How long does that take normally? Do you know?
When I spoke to the representative, she said the waitlist times could take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. She was waitlisted prior to Christmas, so I believe we're on week 3.
Okay. Do you know of any program or a help that either St. Francis or maybe the department can assist with covering the child support cost?
I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but I can look into that.
Sorry, and I said child support, I meant child care. Sorry.
Yes.
You said child support earlier, but you meant child care.
Yes, ma'am, I meant child care. I apologize. Can you repeat your answer on that? I'm sorry, Ms. Brady.
I'm not sure, but I can look into some things. My understanding is that St. Francis would not be able to help with childcare because we are in reunification.
Okay. Can we check with the department to see if there's anything that they can do?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, is my understanding, did mom go back to work yesterday for a few hours?
I believe she goes back today.
Okay. And the child goes back to school tomorrow,
Yes.
and that will kind of help with some of the child care and mom getting back to work.
Yes.
Now, one of the main issues that arises with the no child care right now is mom has not been able to work. Is that correct?
Yes. She's been taking leave.
She took leave, so she's having trouble with bills and rent, or just rent, or?
So far it's just rent. She did tell me yesterday that her utilities are paid, and we're looking into some resources in order to help her with rent this month.
Okay. And if we're not able to get that done, is it your understanding she may be able to work out something with her landlord to pay in installments till she gets caught up?
Yes, that's what she reported to me.
Okay. Another big issue we have is people that are around the child and mom at this time. What are our issues with that? Has there been some people who are not approved to be around?
Yes. So when I attempted to see Adrian in about the first week of Xerxes being placed there, I arrived at her home and there was 2 males inside of her apartment. The males that were there told me that she was at the hospital with Xerxes. I called her immediately, did her home walkthrough, and met her at urgent care there, I believe Covenant Urgent Care there in Lubbock. Sat with them until Xerxes' diagnosis came back, and he had tonsillitis. He had been running a fever earlier that day. And then the LPS worker, or the courtesy worker that helps me to see Xerxes and Adrian, did report that there was a man in the home in the shower when she arrived there, and that he never came out of the shower. That male, Adrian identified as Antonio Tifola.
Okay. And we have concerns with Antonio being around there.
Yes.
Is he the same guy that we talked about in the last hearing before placement? Mom was using his car?
Yes.
And whether he could be around or not?
It's his sister's car, but yes.
Okay. And do you know, since then, are you aware of him being around, or has he been seen there anymore?
Not by me, no, sir. We did implement, once we identified it was Antonio Tifola in the home, we did implement a safety plan that he cannot be around.
Okay. I believe in the last hearing, we also spoke of is it Scalina?
Yes.
I'm not sure. And who is that?
And that is Adrian's oldest daughter, Xerxes' older sibling.
And I believe in the last hearing, we discussed whether she was allowed to move in the home or be in the home. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it was noted that she's not approved to be around or be with the child. Is that correct?
Correct.
In the new safety plan, is it stated in there clearly that Scalina is not to be alone with Xerxes or move into the home or to stay at the home?
Correct. She is also to be supervised at all times in the presence of Xerxes.
Okay. Have you had and you know, unannounced visits you can miss people sometimes, but here lately, have you had issues when you drop in seeing mom and Xerxes?
This last visit, no. She was not at the home. I did have to wait about 20 minutes on her, but she came home immediately.
Okay. And I know you're trying to get the safety plans filed so that everybody can see them, but mom did agree to it and sign it.
Correct.
Okay. Did you go over it fully with her and let her know what we were expecting and what concerns we have and why?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And mom, to your knowledge, and we'll talk to her in a minute, but to your knowledge, mom understands these people can't be around.
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Are you also asking for, just where I got you, drug screens, hair follicles, and UAs today?
Yes, I am.
Okay. As far as mom's support group, before we placed the child, who was the male that was going to live in the house and help?
Her stepson from a previous relationship.
Okay. But he has since moved out and is no longer helping?
Yes.
Okay. So who is mom's support group right now? Who is helping her out?
Her sister Amanda, who also had placement of Xerxes, Adrian reports that she helps here and there, very almost minimally, by picking Xerxes up and helping her over the weekends.
Okay. Is she working during the week?
Yes. Well, not currently, but yes.
Okay. So she does help, just not all the time.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody else that we know of right now?
She did give me one other potential caregiver. I did run those background checks. It's reported that it was a cousin. And unfortunately, due to criminal history and a current warrant being out for this person, I couldn't approve her to be a caregiver.
Okay. So we're still down to just the one person, the sister, to help with support.
At this time, yes.
Okay. Some of these concerns hopefully will be kind of alleviated a little bit when Xerxes goes back to school. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And we're going to work on seeing if we can help with or get the funding pushed through for daycare.
Yes.
Is there any other, outside of what we just covered, are there any other major concerns that we have right now?
Other than the people inside of her home, the days that I did do those visits after Xerxes was sick, I did come back to the home the very next day. She was kind of out and about on a cold day with Xerxes. Later that night, when I met with her and Xerxes at the ER, or at the urgent care, I'm sorry, I returned back to the home about 3 hours later, and she was not there. She reported she was at Golden Corral eating with Xerxes. That's just the concern since he was supposed to be out of school the very next day due to fevers.
So it was concerning due to the fevers that he was sick and out in the cold weather.
Yes.
Okay. As far as when he was sick and she took him to the urgent care, is she supposed to notify you of these if he's sick or has to take him into the hospital or the doctor?
Correct. And I did address that with her.
Okay, so that was addressed that she did not notify you, but she needs to.
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness at this time here.
Okay, Ms. Grant.
Ms. Prater, are you seeking to terminate the parental rights of the father in this case?
Yes.
And are you asking for that today?
If the judge grants it, yes.
Okay. Are you asking for child support in this matter?
If available, yes.
Okay. And do you know if the father has been served in this matter? If you don't, it's okay.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay.
I believe he has.
Okay. And do you know if he is the alleged or the presumed father?
I believe he's the presumed father.
Okay. Pass the witness, Judge.
Well, let me follow up on that because I show him as alleged. So what does the department have him?
Give me 1 second, Johnny. See what I've got.
Ms. Martinez, if you want to mute for me, did you and Mr. Reyna ever go to court and get?
No, ma'am. We never went to court to go get like a DNA test or anything on him.
Judge, it looks like on 7/26 of 22, we adjudicated the father as the father of the child and established a relationship.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I couldn't recall, Your Honor. I just thought I would ask the question based on the fact that Ms. Martinez is having some financial struggles with the child. And if the court did make the decision not to terminate, we would be asking for some type of child support to be put in the order along with some type of, a limited supervised visitation as to 1 hour a week or something to the effect if the court decided not to terminate the father.
I'll entertain, I'm going to entertain just doing like a child support order today since he's been adjudicated, but I'm not going to do anything regarding termination until we go to a final in this case.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have any further questions?
No, Your Honor, I passed the witness.
Okay. All right, Mr. Novak.
Thank you so much, Judge. Ms. Prater, I'm going to sound like a broken record. What efforts have you made to contact Mr. Renya?
Up until November of 2023, I did make 3 attempts on his alleged residence in Muleshoe, which is his sister's home.
You literally drove there 3 times, correct?
Yes.
I know you invited me a couple of times and I declined. Have you had any meaningful contact with him since the inception of this case?
I have not.
To your knowledge, has he completed any services?
Not to my knowledge, no.
To your knowledge, has he, the last couple of times have been ordered a drug test, has he drug tested?
No, sir.
In the best you have, and I think you said it was a Google search that he might be in Abilene.
It's an accurate search, but yes, it reported that he's been living there since November of 23.
And he hasn't tried to reach out to you at all, correct?
No, sir.
Thank you so much, Amy. Judge, I'll pass the witness.
All right, and Ms. Zavala.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right.
Judge, I'm looking in the dockets or in Odyssey right now, and I'm just trying to make sure. It looks like there's a docket entry when we adjudicated in July of 22 that there may have been child support and medical support ordered at that time. I'm just trying to make sure that wasn't redone later, but I just want to make sure what I'm looking at here. Looks like on that docket entry, it's adjudicate father, but looks like a final order in it. So that's what I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm looking at here.
What date was that, Daniel?
I'm looking at
It's that docket entry is 7/26/22.
that's very odd. That's right in the middle of everything, and that's saying mom named as PMC. And
Yeah, that's what I got confused on when I was looking at this.
I'm wondering if we've got
Something crossed over.
but then do we see any kind of order?
I don't, because dad wasn't even served until the next month.
Yeah, hang on.
There's a temporary order with that same date in my record here in my file.
That doesn't that what I'm looking at, it doesn't show me as the it usually indicates judicial officer, and I don't. All right, I see it shows. I have a feeling that's an error.
Okay.
Because it's, it says adjudicating him and establishing parent-child relationship, naming mom PMC, him PC visits twice a month at family support services. That was a final order. That's obviously it probably, I did it, but it looks like I've gotten a docket entry into the wrong case.
Yeah, and Judge, I think that's what we've come to conclusion to. I had Kim looking at it also. I think that some got crossed over in the wrong case on that.
Yeah.
So right now, I don't see any other entries adjudicating him, and he was pled in as an alleged at the time.
Yeah, I think that's an error.
Okay.
Because and the other reason I'm saying that is I'm looking at my entries in my state system that you guys can't see or you all don't use. And I have nothing about adjudicating him in that.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that's a docket entry that got entered into the wrong case. And of course, there's no subsequent order that supports that.
Okay.
In Odyssey, there's no subsequent order signed that supports that docket entry. So I think that docket entry simply doesn't belong in this case.
Okay.
And we'll see if we can't run down. We can probably go back and pick up on a calendar what final hearings we had that day.
Okay.
And I bet you we'll have the same docket entry in a different case number.
Yes, ma'am.
So sorry to confuse the issue, but no, I don't think he's been adjudicated yet. So,
and Rachel just sent a note of what case it belongs to, Judge.
Okay.
Just sent a message.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's my fault. Occasionally I don't switch screens right, and I try hard to catch it when I do that. But, you know, it's probably one of those very busy days and I just didn't catch it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My apologies for confusing everybody.
So I believe he's still he is not a presumed at this time.
No.
He's just an alleged.
He's just alleged.
And
Thank you.
And I had not really discussed with my clients as far as where we're going, but the conversation was whether we would terminate at a later date or ask for adjudicate and ask for child support later.
And Judge, I can reserve, based on the information discussed, I can reserve my request until a final order and get with Daniel offline about that request.
Yeah, I can't order it since he's still alleged.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, sorry. Okay, anybody have any other questions for Ms. Prater?
No,
Judge.
Okay. All right. Mr. Trout, you have any other witnesses you're going to call today?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to call Ms. Martinez. Ms. Martinez, you were here for the testimony we just took from Ms. Prater, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you understand what we're discussing and the concerns the department has at this time?
Yes.
Okay. Are you in a relationship with Antonia?
We speak. we're not in a relationship, but we're like not talking to each other because he does help me. Like whenever I need money, he sends it to me. He knows that he can't be here at the house. He don't come around because he understands the fact that I do put my son first and I'm not going to lose my kid for nobody.
Was that him in the apartment when the worker came by in the shower?
Yes.
I'm sorry, you kind of froze up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry, you froze there. I couldn't hear you. When was the last time he was in the home?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay. When was the last time he was in the home?
Whenever I signed that safety plan, that time that I signed the safety plan and got told that nobody could be here.
You understand if there are going to be people around that you need to let Ms. Prater know that so she can check out to see if they will be approved.
Okay, everybody hang on.
I'm so sorry. I guess.
Hey, hang on, everybody. Okay, Ms. Martinez, I'm going to ask you to turn your video off and let's see if that improves your audio.
Okay.
And I think Ms. Taylor maybe missed something.
I thought she dropped off for a second.
Okay.
And,
No,
and
I got.
I can re-ask that question, Your Honor. Ms. Martinez, do you understand that if there's going to be anybody around Xerxes or helping out, that you need to let Ms. Prater know first so that she can run backgrounds and make sure they'll be approved?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, sir. Sorry.
Okay. And now the main issue we have is that before we placed him back in the home, we had the conversation about Antonio not being around, and you told us you were not in a relationship with him. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you weren't truthful at that time with us, were you?
No, sir.
Okay. That you understand that some red flags for us, if you're not going to be truthful with us in the court on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'll ask you again, when was the last time he was in the home?
Whenever we signed the safety plan, that nobody was allowed to be here.
Okay. Now that same day at the last hearing, we also discussed, your stepdaughter Scalina was not allowed around, especially unsupervised, but should not be, or even supervised, but should not be around the child unsupervised. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we advise you that she's not allowed to move into the home and she doesn't need to be around.
So the thing on the safety plan that said my daughter can come around, but she cannot spend the night here and she can't be left alone unsupervised with Xerxes at any time. And that's on my safety plan, on my papers, to say that she can be around. She's not allowed to stay here.
I understand. And that's, you're talking about the new safety plan that you've signed?
Yes.
Okay. Was she staying with you before that?
No, she doesn't stay here. She comes over. And she was spending, before I got Xerxes in the home, she was spending every other weekend with me until Xerxes came back into the home. And that was, I actually talked to Miss Amy Prater about that as well.
Okay. But you understand the guidelines now?
Yes.
Okay. You also understand that if Xerxes gets sick or you have to take him into a doctor or the urgent care or the hospital or anything, you need to notify Ms. Prater immediately, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go back to work yesterday or are you going back tomorrow?
Today I'm going to be going back at 11 to 3, but if I have to take a drug test, my boss is not going to let me go back. If I'm late, I don't get to work today because of everything that's going on with CPS. It's really hurting me at work.
But he's scheduled to go back to school tomorrow, Xerxes is, correct?
Yes, at school. Yes.
Okay. And you're scheduled to go into work when?
11 to 3.
Okay. Would you be able to go drug screen after 3?
I think the drug screening stopped for CPS at 3, so it's not going to be possible.
Okay. And we'll check on that. Sometimes it's 4. I'm not sure what they are down where you are. Sometimes it's 4, but we'll check on that. What time do you work tomorrow?
11 to 3.
Okay. So if we had it scheduled to have it done by noon tomorrow, would you be able to go in first thing in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. And you understand what we discussed as far as daycare. Now, it's my understanding you may have found a daycare. We just need to get some help paying on it.
Yes, I went ahead and put my application in for the daycare and he is accepted. It's just the financial part that's not.
Okay. Is there any part of the safety plan or the reunification plan or issues of having a child in the home that you don't understand and have questions about?
No, sir.
Okay. When Miss Prater came by your home the day that you had to take Xerxes to the doctor, who were the other 2 men in the home?
One of them was Antonio, and then the other one was his cousin Gilbert. We were trying to put up lights for Christmas, but we ended up not doing it.
Okay. Because my understanding, they told Ms. Prater they were there to watch the apartment while you were out. Is that not true?
Okay. Well, I mean, they usually come over. Antonio would come over to help like do Christmas lights and stuff like that. But I mean.
Okay. But you do understand now he is not allowed to be in the home around Xerxes.
Yes.
Okay. Have you worked out anything with your landlord as far as rent?
Yes, my landlord does understand that I'm going through CPS, and I did speak to him about me missing work this whole Christmas break. And I mean, as long as I get my rent paid through the month while it's that month, then he don't mind. Him and his wife helped me out a lot.
Okay. Where do you stand on rent right now?
I'm on 18.
No. I'm sorry. Not your address. I mean, where do you stand as far as, are you behind on rent right now?
About $400. I paid $200 yesterday.
Okay. I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody else have anything critical they need to ask her? I would like for her to be able to get to work if she can.
No questions, Judge.
No questions.
Your Honor, no questions. I would just ask that, along the lines of Mr. Trout's questioning, that any drug testing, we've not had any positive drug screens in the last 12 months, and that the testing be ordered to accommodate her work schedule.
That's not a problem. I'm just going to order her to go do it tomorrow morning before she goes to work. Okay. Ms. Martinez, I'm going to say this very quickly because I want you to go on to work, but I told another mother this morning who is in a similar situation as yours. I'm very concerned that we're still having these problems. I think you very clearly understand who cannot be around your child. I'm going to expect you to abide by the rules. And when I say that, I mean abide to the letter and everything that plan says. And understand, if you let these people continue to come around in a manner that is not approved, that is going to create a big problem, and it could mean removal of Xerxes from the home. So I want you to have a very clear understanding of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything today? Or Ms. Martinez, can she go on to work? Ms. Zavala, anything else?
No, Your Honor, I got to visit with Xerxes and Adrian in the home yesterday. My big concern is just whatever we can do to help with daycare. I don't know for sure, but I believe that DFPS may have a fund that can help with that while we're waiting for CCMS to come through, and I think that would make all the difference in this case.
Okay. Well, hopefully everybody will get their heads together and see what we can do. All right, then I'm going to order the monitor to return to Ms. Martinez, and we'll set a new dismissal date. I don't know if you've got that figured out, Mr. Trout. I'll order her a drug test tomorrow before she goes to work, and we'll have a next review hearing on May 7th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. Our final will be scheduled for July 2nd of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. New dismissal date is?
New date would be July 10th of 24.
All right. Okay. Ms. Martinez, you're free to go. Okay, anybody have it? Just, I know that was all real fast, but I'm trying to get her on her way. Anybody got any, need me to repeat those dates or anything?
No, ma'am, I think we're good.
Okay.
I got him, Judge, and I will send Miss Martinez a letter restating the dates.
Okay, thank you all very much.
And Judge, do I need to do I can't remember, do I need to do a review order for today since we went into monitored return? I mean, we talked about most of our stuff. Do you want me to put in a review order?
I don't think it would hurt to go ahead and do one.
Okay.
Okay, appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you for the work, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
Hey, Vance, can I talk to you real quick before?
And we're conducting this through
Yes.
Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
I'm Todd Albee on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present and ready to proceed, Your Honor. Miss Sherry Hughes is the family-based service specialist who will be giving us an update today.
Vince Nowak on behalf of Sarah Gordon. We're both present and ready, Judge.
Katie Hammonds for Hunter Gordon. He is presently in the Potter County Jail, Judge. I'll elaborate on that a little bit later, but I'm ready to proceed.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids.
All right. Okay. I reviewed, of course, the court report, and what do we have new?
Sherry, anything to add to your court report?
No, not to the court report. I know I did mention in there the DWI that Mrs. Gordon received on December the 17th. We do have a safety plan in place. She and the children are living with her parents, and that safety plan is good for about 30 days, and then we'll revisit that. I know she went yesterday to counseling. I did speak to her therapist, and he's willing to work with her on that. We're hoping that that was just a bad choice and not an underlying problem. So we're hoping to address that through counseling.
And Mr. Hunter is or excuse me, Mr. Gordon is incarcerated and expected to be sent to ISF. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're asking that this case be continued while both parties work out their issues and that we continue to offer services?
Yes, sir.
That's all that I have, Your Honor.
Okay, so the department is actually asking for an extension of the participation case, correct?
Correct. It's been
Okay.
right at the 6-month period, but just because of some of the recent issues, we would ask that it be extended. We don't anticipate it being an additional 6 months.
Okay. All right, Mr. Nowak.
No questions of the witness and no objection to the extension, Your Honor.
Okay, one quick question, and I hope the answer is negative. Were the children in the car with mom?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Hammonds.
No questions, Judge.
All right, Ms. Zavala.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, anything else from the department today, Mr. Albee?
Not from the department, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Nowak.
Nothing, Judge.
Okay, Mr. Hammonds, anything else to present?
Judge, I just let the court know that Mr. Gordon has had his parole revocation hearing. They are recommending that he go to ISF. He's waiting for an open bed. Hopefully that will happen fairly quickly. He's got about 90 days ahead of him then at ISF. He plans to cooperate when he gets out. Hopefully this will be his beginning to a long period of sobriety or the rest of his life. He's come to the realization, you know, he needs to get things straightened out as well as Sarah in order to get the kids back. He did have one question. I did not know if this was the right venue for him to ask if a paternity test could be done on Avonlea, the oldest daughter. I don't know if there's been a judicial finding of him being the father in any other proceeding, Judge. And I didn't really know, since there was no petition filed in this case, I didn't really know if this was a venue where he can even seek that anyway.
No, the answer really is no. It's not a suit affecting parent-child relationship. I showed that I show Mr. Gordon as the presumed father of the two Gordon children, but
Correct.
I really don't have the ability to make any kind of SAPs or orders in this in these kinds of cases.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll let him know that.
Okay.
But yes, he's in agreement. He's wanting to continue to work services if the court would grant the extension, please.
All right. And Ms. Zavala, anything to present, a recommendation today?
Your Honor, mom and grandmother were cooperative in letting me come over and meet with the kids in the home. The kids seem to be doing well. I do agree with the extension just to finalize everything that needs to be finalized. But at this time, I do believe that extension is in their best interest.
Okay. All right, then I will find that there's good cause to extend the order to participate in the case, and we will set a new dismissal date. Mr. Albee, you all have that calculated?
I do, Your Honor. It's August 2nd of 2024.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Canada. And Ms. Gordon, just work closely with your therapist about this. If you feel like you've got a problem or an issue with alcohol, now is the time to address it, because we can help you with that, and we can provide, you know, that at no cost to you. So, you know, if it's a one-off, then, you know, that's one thing, but look hard in the mirror and decide whether it's a one-off or whether it's a problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You know, in the legal world, we always talk about that, you know, for every time somebody gets stopped on a DWI, we wonder how many times they were out there drinking and driving when they didn't get stopped.
Right.
So if you have, and I'm not asking, I'm just telling you, if if you've driven under the influence on a number of other occasions, even though you didn't get caught, that's a problem. And if you need help, please reach out and let us know so we can try to help get you set up with the right people.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right, then. Our next compliance hearing will be April 2nd of 2024, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket.
Okay.
So I will see everybody back for that, and I wish you continued good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Lucero, are you expecting your client?
Judge, thank you.
Sure. I spoke with him probably about 40 minutes ago. He said he was headed home, so he and his wife could appear together.
And Judge, I just spoke to them 2 minutes, well, not her client, but I spoke to my client who was next to her client about 2 minutes ago. At least as far as my client, I have an agreement to announce, and I don't believe she will be logging in today.
Okay.
And Your Honor, we also have an agreement to announce.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Perales is with us in the event he needed to interpret. So, Richard, if you don't mind to just hang out for a few minutes in case they do log in, that'd be great.
And Judge, there is a chance that the child could be logged in.
I don't have anybody in the waiting room right now that would be.
Today was her first day of school, so I doubt that actually happened.
Okay. I know who everybody else is that's out there right now, and so I don't see anybody that I don't know why they're here. We are here today set for an adversary hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Melissa Rivera Zuniga. My client is not present, but I'm ready.
Lorraine Lucero on behalf of the father, Jesus Zuniga. Your Honor, I'm present and ready, and I guess at this time I'm not expecting him to appear, but I believe that we do have an agreement.
Okay.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Esmariah.
All right. Thank you. Okay, who wants to announce the agreement?
I will do that, Judge.
Okay.
We're in agreement for the department to have temporary managing conservatorship of the child. Parents to work some services, they'll be minimal due to it being more or less a wrapper case on this. Some parenting class. I know Miss Lucero's client is mainly Spanish speaking. So we'll try to get those set up to where those classes are held that way. It'll be, parenting, possibly family counseling if we make it to that point. I think right now the child, I don't know, really wants contact, and I don't know the parents' wants on that at this time. But we're not asking for any child support or medical support at this time. If that gets to be an issue down the road, we'll address that then.
All right. And Ms. Sapien, is that your client's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Lucero, how about you? Is that your client's agreement?
Agreement. I did tell him that he needs to speak with whoever the caseworker is going to be on this case. I think there might be, I know there was a statement made about they didn't want contact. It was my understanding that he just hadn't heard from the child. So I'm unsure if he knows that he can have some type of contact if she wants to have contact at this time. So I guess I can check with the caseworker after this hearing.
And Judge, Ms. Zavala may have more to say on that. I think she's spoken with the child, knows the wishes there, but that was kind of my understanding.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Your Honor, I do think this agreement would be in her best interest. I do have a few things that I need clarification on, and then just, do we know who the St. Francis caseworker is going to be?
I believe this one is
It's Courtney Brown.
Courtney Brown? Okay.
Yes, and I'm the only one who's really had any interaction since the hearing got pushed, so I can answer that contact question, by the way.
Okay. And when I spoke with Esmariah, at that point, she did not want contact with her parents. She did have some questions about, she's starting a new school today that has a dress code, and she feels like she needs clothing. And so I don't know who we go through to try to address those issues. It sounded like she felt like she needed just about everything clothing wise. And then her one request for contact was actually with BioMom, if we could obtain some information on her. That is somebody that she would like contact with if possible.
From my understanding, they can only have so many outfits, and I believe it's like 14. And so grandma does need to do that, but this has been a process in them being willing to kind of give a little to help her there. So it's, if that makes sense. So if she's in agreement, she can bring them to the office and I can get them to her, but that's been an issue. And then as far as mom goes, we can talk to Courtney, but I do not think that's a good idea because that's where a lot of this running away stuff came from. And I got an email from her caseworker at placement last night about that. So I don't know that that's a great idea until some more counseling and stuff is done with Esmariah.
Yeah, it's my understanding there was at least one conversation between Esmariah and grandmother or adopted mother, and that did not end well when she asked for things and
yes, and well, and placement actually removed grandma. It wasn't Esmariah, so that's something again Courtney will have to face, or that's probably going to be kind of like a stepping stone as they go, because from my understanding that conversation was very hostile on both parts. So they actually removed no contact with grandma. So I don't know that grandpa knew that. So
and Judge, when Ms. White's saying grandma and grandpa, she's speaking of the adoptive parents. So parents.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And if we can get Stacy, is she needing clothing? Is that what she's wanting?
Yeah, she's saying she needs everything from underwear to shoes to just regular clothing. And I understand that mom or dad should provide that potentially, but if they're not going to, then we need to. Yes. I mean, she's got to have clothes to go to school. You know?
Well, it's real simple. I'm going to order that they turn those things over to St. Francis to be transferred to the child for, I mean, I don't guess granddad's going to wear her clothes.
Well, this has been, I mean, I placed her on the 20th. She was wearing exactly what I had her in, and we got her a few things, but I mean, it's the 9th now and they have not. So that's my concern, is like they could drop it off today and I will get it to her. So, but yeah, she does need things.
Well, I'm going to order that they turn over the child's clothing, shoes. We'll start there. I don't necessarily need it to say all personal belongings, because that could be a lot of things that she can't have.
Yeah.
So clothing, apparel.
Yeah.
If she had a backpack, every kid needs a backpack for school. So let's start there.
I'll make sure she knows, Judge.
And I'll let my client also know, Your Honor.
Okay, then otherwise, all right, well, let me just ask Ms. Zavala, anything else?
I'm looking through my notes. We did talk for a decent time. There may have been an aunt that she identified as possibly wanting some contact with. No, I apologize. Stepmom, Megan. But essentially right now it was I need clothes to go to school,
Yeah. All right, Ms. White was shaking her head negatively towards that request as well. So
I just think no, having been involved with this family as long as I have been, the reason she wants those two people, which I completely understand, is because they do listen to her, but they are also the two that got her to run away and end up in Dallas. And so if we could just get that positive interaction with grandma and grandpa, or she does have an aunt here in Amarillo, she's just wanting, which I totally understand, she's just wanting someone to have a positive conversation with. And so I just do not think that's a great idea right now until she's more settled in that placement and not talking about running away.
How about a CASA advocate?
Yes, and yeah.
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry. I actually have a note on that and I didn't ask.
Okay. I'm sure they've got somebody they can assign. We'll double check with them, but usually they round up the troops and find somebody for us. So, and at her age especially, I think it's appropriate. So we'll do our best to get CASA involved as soon as we can. Okay. All right, then I will approve the agreement as announced, find that the evidence is sufficient to name the department as temporary managing conservator, that there would be a continuing and ongoing danger for the child to return home at this time. More issues that the child was having at this point in time, but obviously she did run away from home, so it would be a danger to send her back into that situation right now. Find that the department has used reasonable efforts to avoid the removal, and that, I'll approve the agreement for no child support or medical support at this time. We'll look to parents to work appropriate services to the case, and then the turnover order for the child's clothing and apparel and backpack, those kinds of things. Okay, thank you all so much. I appreciate everybody. Our next hearing will be February 15th of 2024, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket.
Yes, ma'am.